Hello and welcome to this week's Image Comics reviews. Every single week, Image Comics sends us their books early so that we can review them for you all day and date. We have a full house. All the pals are here. So that's Pete,
Yo.
Marco,
Hello.
Kale,
It's me.
Phil,
Four.
and I'm Sean. Today we're here to talk about Primordial #1 and Time Before Time #5. These are the two books that we were most excited about this week coming from Image Comics. And if there are books that you feel like we should have talked about that we won't be, write in and let us know. And if there's books you want us to talk about next week, write in and let us know. You can do that by hitting us up in the comment section below, writing to us at thecomicspals@gmail.com. We're very accessible and we respond to everything. So while you're thinking about us, leave us a follow, rating, and a review wherever it is. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe for free, like the video, share it with your friends. All that stuff's free and it helps us out a ton. Now, let's get into Primordial #1. This is Jeff Lemire with Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart. This is the first Jeff Lemire joint that I have read in quite some time. And boy, am I glad that I did. This was awesome, I thought.
Yeah, I love this too. I was real bullish on it. For the main show, I put it in my pals pools, which I don't think I've ever done for a book that we've read weekly like that before, like upcoming. This is terrific. This is just my wheelhouse. It's space race, mid 20th century. It's like an alternate United States, which I'm always a sucker for. There's a part in this where they allude to President Nixon, and I'm like, wait a second, this is like 1960. Oh, he beat Kennedy. Okay. And there's just a lot of kind of that geopolitical stuff kind of woven into the subtext. But most of all, guys, the art. Some of these pages were insane.
Yeah.
What a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I similarly found a lot to enjoy. I think at first I felt a little alienated by it. I felt I had a hard time grounding myself in the story, I think, right away. Like, there were things that were confusing me, but I felt like by the end of the issue, it had all totally snapped into place. And it, like, those felt like choices, right? Like, the way that it kind of gives you flashes of scenes out of context and stuff like that. It's, like, very cinematic, you know? And once the broader picture clicked into place for me, I kind of felt myself jump on board a little bit, you know, where I was like, oh, okay, all right, like this isn't obtuse or written in a way that's confusing just on its face, right? It's trying to get me in a rhythm with it and give me the story in a very specific way. And I vibed with that. And I think a big part of it is a lot of the stuff that Phil outlined. I really enjoyed the art. I think the colors here from Dave Stewart are awesome. And it really enhances, I think, the period piece energy to it. Like those kinds of more flat, basic colors. Something about it it does a good job of giving me that kind of tone of that time. And I like how that's contrasted with the stuff in space that feels like it's colored like a little bit more modernly. Yeah, very, very cool. There's a lot of bold, striking pages here, but I think even just beyond that, I got interested and hooked by the mystery, you know, and mm-hmm. I think alternate history is definitely something that also works for me quite a bit because, you know, I talk about it all the time on you know the Marvel and DC stuff. I like What If. I like Elseworlds. I like things that take what I know and subvert those expectations. You know, that I've always find that to be inherently kind of a rewarding process in a story. So the fact that it has that layered in with this greater, you know, cosmic entity or threat or mystery or whatever, I don't even know yet. There's a lot of intrigue here for me. So I think the fact that I found that much to be interested in and cling on to, on top of the fact that I think it's a very visually engaging book, yeah, I think this is a strong #1. You know, I wasn't it wasn't necessarily like a 10 out of 10 for me quite yet, but I feel like there's a lot of promise here.
Oh, full compliments to Jeff Lemire for his scripting. I think one of the hardest things any writer in comic books can do is write an effective #1 issue, because you have to find a way to loop new readers in, give them the gist of what's going to happen, but also make it narratively compelling on its own. And I think Jeff Lemire does a fantastic job of setting up a mystery, and by the end, it's a good payoff that raises only more questions.
The I agree with everything you guys are saying from a story perspective. The something just to add on to the art, it all felt very like graphic designy, in that the use of like Ben-Day dots, these like different layers and stuff. There are no outlines like in any of the panels, characters. Everything is all just color against color, and I thought that was super effective to build a mood. Things are just kind of bleeding into each other, and it made it feel like a mystery noir book. The sci-fi pages, like Pete mentioned, with like the different colors and the variations there, and then towards the end, the contrast, the last like 3 pages, like 3-4 pages, where all of a sudden you see that the bodies and the things that we interact with on the page have outlines. Is such like a distinct jump in art that it feels like you do cross a dimension, because you go from these forms with no borders to forms that do, and then seeing the individual details and seeing the wrinkles on like the monkeys' faces or on the suits. Everything in this issue just like drove the narrative, art and story.
I didn't pick up on the outline bit of it, like on that last page, until you just pointed that out. That's a really, really good call out there, Marco.
Neat stuff.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for a lot of things, but 2 of those things are conspiracies and animals that can talk.
Hell yes.
Has both.
Let's go, Leica.
Over. I don't have anything. I don't need to say anything else. If you like conspiracies and animals that talk, this book is for you. Instant buy. I mean, nothing happens. This whole issue is just about finding out, that there's that this world is different than ours in certain aspects. I think Lemire does a great job of utilizing context clues and things like that to fill us in on that this is an alt history story, and so hats off. But then I also really like the main character, Donald, and we don't. There's not an inordinate amount of character work done here, but he's a black guy in 1961, who has a PhD, but when he walks in, they think he's the janitor, and that is it's again a clue into the world we're in, but it also helps to generate sympathy. Hopefully you feel sympathetic for the guy who is the target of racism. Hopefully that's where you're at. Yeah. And if it is, then you're definitely going to care about him and sympathize with him as he deals with this situation that he is in, and gets kind of wrapped up in this conspiracy that is interesting. And it's all based on these animals. The idea that they were sent into space as part of the space program, and they didn't die, but they were taken. Like, taken by who?
Or by what?
Taken by what? Like, I'm in.
Yeah. And one of my all-time favorite comic book characters is Cosmo the Space Dog in Marvel. You give me an animal, you send him to space, and now he can talk.
He's Russian too.
That's right. You get Leica here, who's the real dog that the Soviet Union sent into space in the 50s. I'm ready to see her adventures. Let's go.
Oh, that was real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we sent a monkey into space. So
I was going to say, are these monkeys based on the real monkeys we sent?
I think so.
I don't know. I knew we did that, but I didn't know their names.
Yeah, I think they are.
That's cool.
I'm going to do the little history check. Hold on.
Man, Sorrentino is just on another fucking level.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like we've served the art enough. I mean, like he's up there doing shit like J.H. Williams, just third level brain, you know.
Oh my
It's
God.
incredible. Like
The page of the, you know, like the kind of what are you showing us, Phil?
Oh, it's a space monkey.
Oh, okay, it's a real one.
There's a whole Wikipedia on apes in space.
I'm gonna have
Wow.
to. That's where the rest of my afternoon's going. But yeah, the 2 pages of the actual event, of the apes, you know, kind of like getting heated up or attacked or whatever, and then there's just the ape in the background screaming with the E's going through, and that is like, it's so bold. And like, again, the fact that the page before that is, you know, that style that we see kind of throughout the book, where it's with, you know, we don't have these outlines, it's like this muted like brown tone, you know, a lot of shadow, and then we get to this insane, you know, bright yellow, and the text is this weird purple, and the monkey's green, and there's these little cutouts of red, and it just creates such a strong dynamic contrast between, you know, these 2 settings within the book. And I really, really like that. You know, it gives it such a strong mood, you know, and it helps you get in the mindset of how you're supposed to be feeling moment to moment.
It really evokes like a very 2001: A Space Odyssey feeling, which I'm a real sucker for, anything like that. Also, just kind of some of the scripting, just very effective, where he's being talked, where our main character is being talked to by a man in the backseat of his car, and of course he wonders if he's KGB, and you know, it really kind of shines a light where we've been going for 20 some issues at this point. And he says, like, why do you think the United States and the USSR pulled out of the space race over a couple animals not coming back? If anything, you would think they would send more animals because of what they found. And that's like, yeah, maybe I butchered the scripting, but the way Lemire does it, it's very, very effective. Also, Baker and Abel, real monkeys.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
I really, that's a good point, Phil. And I love how, you know, it's similar to the moment that Sean brought up in terms of like, you know, when Dr. Pembroke is like, you know, the guy thinks he's the janitor or whatever, right? And like, that's like a script character moment that informs us, but doesn't have to spell it out. Right? In the same way where, like, when the guy's in the back of his car, right? My immediate, like, the voice I heard in my head for him was American, right? But he's like, well, who do you think I am? He's like, oh, you're with the KGB. And I'm like, oh, he's Russian. Okay. So he has an accent. And you don't have to write, yes, you know, like that kind of, you know, that's the other way to get across the fact that a character's Russian, right? And I very much appreciated that in the way that this issue is scripted, where I don't feel like Lemire feels like he needs to spoon feed things to us. He's confident enough in the reader and in how he's writing that you'll keep up. And I did.
He doesn't need to bludgeon you over the head with things like we don't need a stark, raving, screaming racist person in here. It's just a little piece of dialogue that tells you everything you need to know about what's going on in the culture.
Yeah, exactly. Subtlety, you know,
nuance.
It's an art.
I really can't wait to see where this goes. Like, this was so cool and refreshing. I don't feel like, I mean, I guess you got Department of Truth, which is a conspiracy book, and it's different, but you know, it's a conspiracy book, so maybe that's in right now. But this felt fresh. It felt unique, and I can't wait for more. So I would say definitely pull this. Go get this. If for nothing more than the talking animals.
Yes, sir.
Pull it for sure.
Definitely. It's also definitely my book, my pick for between these 2 books.
Same.
let's talk about Time Before Time. So we skipped a month with this. We just had a lot of other books, and we needed to bump something, so we bumped this. This is, of course, by Declan Shalvey with Rory McConville writing, Joel Palmer on art, Chris O'Halloran doing the colors, and Hassan Otsman El Hal doing the letters. So I needed a refresher on this one because I was struggling with the names in particular. And I don't know what it is about this book, but I just can't remember anyone's name. The only guy I can kind of remember is Tatsuo, the main character. But he finds himself in a weird spot in this issue where he has been forced to go deep into the future to recover something. Don't even really know what it was. It's basically a punishment job for all the shenanigans that he's been pulling this whole time. And I gotta say, this issue had me on a roller coaster of different emotions. It went all over the place in the best way. This was great.
Yeah. I really dug this issue.
The Oscar inclusion.
I was gonna say that was excellent. It evokes like a feeling of like, what if you did stumble upon a friend of yours who died? Like, I feel like a trope is more like you stumble upon someone you know who died, and it's a big drawn out thing. You really draw attention to the fact that like it's tugging at heartstrings. Like he tries to play it like this is a normal everyday thing.
And then the fact that he immediately runs in and cries, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, and I had the thought, it made me want to go back and doesn't his friend get stuck in the future because someone takes his pod?
Yep. So I went back. It was in issue 1. But he says he gets captured by these people working on like farm picking up some sort of berry, and because it was a berry, I assumed that this is the same sort of situation it was in, and it was in the 3400s. They didn't specify what year, but they said, let me tell you, they do not like smugglers in the 3400s. Okay, and that's all that they say.
Because I was having the thought, I was like, is Tatsuo the reason he gets stuck?
That would have been fucked up,
right? Like, I was like, did he do that by accident? Like,
yeah, that's a vibe I got.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's confirmed necessarily, but the jobs are very similar.
My question too was that they brought up the thing about the paradox, and I'm like, can you not create a paradox because something bad will happen, or is there like the time police going to come for you or whatever? You know, like, because like, why couldn't he just save him?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the general like logic that comes with time travel, where you can't change things that are supposed to happen. That was a powerful moment, and
absolutely,
we talked about subtlety in the last with Primordial. This moment, as Phil pointed out, was not overplayed. It really wasn't. And what was so heartbreaking too, although I think maybe we can read into it, was when Oscar tells him, I know things are tough right now. I know it's pretty shit. No spoilers, but believe me, it gets better for us. Much, much better. Just hang in there, okay? Why would he say that? What moment prior to this is he referring to? And is this possibly somehow Oscar like not screwed up? Like this is Oscar.
Well, it's been a while since I've read the first issue, but isn't this the kind of thing he's telling him constantly in the first issue? Because like their lives suck.
Yeah.
Just like,
okay, maybe you're right. Yeah.
He's like an eternal optimist type guy.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I kind of got the vibe that it was like a sad foreshadowing.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Because Tatsuo knows that that's not how it plays out.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that too, but I also thought maybe there's something else going on here.
It could be, is the thing. It's a time travel story, right? Like it could swerve like us like that.
Right, and maybe he's always like that, even from the first issue, because he's trying to tell him something.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
I love that.
It could be both.
Love that.
Yeah. I think either way, it's a compelling moment, which is the best part of it. Right, is if it means nothing else but what we just got, that's fine. Like it was a good emotional beat. I also liked how the last couple issues have been moving a little bit quicker, And I feel like it's been making good use of the fact that it kind of laid groundwork for us, like that moment, right? Like that was an emotional moment that paid off, issues later. I think similarly, having us, the reader, know that Helgi was the one who screwed over what's her name? The FBI agent.
Nadia. Yeah.
Nadia, yeah, thank you. Was the one who like screwed over her family all those years ago.
Yeah.
Was like, oh shit. And part of me actually was wondering at the end of the issue, was it him or was it his dad? Actually,
I feel like in the last issue, she says you, and he's like, yeah, me.
Yeah, I think so.
And I thought that was supposed to say like they both know who they are.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if it was that or if he was just like being an asshole.
Could have
Right.
been, because that could be a bit of a red herring. I don't know. But either way, fuck that guy. And I was super happy to see him get taken out, especially by Nadia.
Yeah, he's a douche. But they do look the exact same.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like when they showed him, I'm like, yo, because this was a while ago, right? Like, how old it was Helgi? I don't know. It could be that. In which case, that would be crazy because that adds a whole other layer to this feud now,
Yeah. I guess like you say a while ago, and like I guess, but I don't, because of the time travel aspect. Like I don't know.
It's hard to say, I guess.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think they want us to get too in the weeds about thinking. So it probably is just it was a long time ago, like you say, but I don't know.
Doesn't have to be. Yeah, fair point.
What do you guys think of the art though?
I'm still loving it.
Yeah.
I like the colors. I like the thick shadows. I like the elongated faces. Oddly enough, I think it does good work.
It's like hit or miss for me. Like I think sometimes it hits really well, but other times, especially when the characters are kind of more to like, if it was a camera angle, like a mid-range where you can see all the characters in the shot or whatever, it's rough.
I think I agree with you in terms of it being hit or miss. There are times where I really like Joe Palmer's work, and there are times where it does sometimes feel a little off. Just some of the modeling, I guess. But I think Chris O'Halloran's colors really pull it all together for me. Like, I think the color work is so strong that it kind of carries me through the moments where the line work isn't working for me as much. And allows me to, like, when I think about the issue, I think about the pages that really work, not the ones that, have weaker spots. Because I don't disagree with the observation that you've made. It's just, I don't know. I guess for whatever reason, there's enough about what else is on the page that's working for me that I'm kind of willing to, just go with it.
I was with you, Phil, on this one in that I felt there were times when I was like, I don't know, this doesn't look too amazing. But there were also parts that were really, really cool. So the whole fight with Nadia and Helgi, I thought was really good. Well choreographed, but also I thought well drawn. I thought it looked good. And I love the boot when she kicks the gun out of his hand and it just says boot. Special effects there. That was pretty good.
I like the one where he throws her and it says toss or throw. Yeah, it just says throw. Like and she's like upside down getting flung.
Yeah, like that's really fun. But there were also parts where I thought, it didn't look so great. And then also I kind of felt like the moment where Tatsuo goes to cry, or where he is crying, I didn't like it. It worked. The moment worked, but I think it worked more because of what was happening than the art. I thought the art could have sold it a little more.
Yeah, it was quick. It was like a panel or something, and then that's it. Like he recomposed himself.
Yeah, he didn't. There were no tears in his eyes. Like,
He in there's the 3 panel, and the third one he's wiping a tear.
Yeah, he's like wiping.
But it's
but in the first one, where are the tears?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even on that, right, he's wiping a tear. It's not like they're coming down his face.
Right.
One single tear for his friend.
He's manly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only the left eye.
So we know that we know some things that you guys don't. So I'm trying to remember what we can say.
They talk about it at the back of in the back of the book.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. So what did they say then?
That Declan's doing issue 6.
Hell
Awesome.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is this I think is the end of the first arc.
Yeah.
And then that issue Declan is going to do, which is incredibly exciting.
We're going to be here for that.
Yeah, 100%. And then we're going to get into whatever's next. And I think at the time that we interviewed Declan, which you should definitely go check out, he wasn't sure how long the series would get to be.
Yeah, right.
Because, just how things go. But at least it appears that we know we're going to get another arc. So that's exciting.
Yeah. And then it absolutely deserves more of a leash here, It's quite good.
Yeah, or maybe it's really selling. I actually don't know how well the book is doing. For some reason, I see this being a tough one. I see it being a harder sell. And I think some of that has to do with the way it looks. Not because it looks bad. I just don't think it's inviting visually. And then also I think it's a little confusing. And it hasn't moved that much. But if you're reading it and you're invested in it, it's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So totally anecdotally, but looking at it on Comixology, it looks like it has an average rating of about 4. Well, I'm looking at issue number 1 has 4.6. Issue number 2's got 5. Looks like people are digging it. Doesn't mean a lot of people are checking it out, but it's good to see that at least it seems to be getting pretty warmly received.
Yeah.
And
Declan's got writing chops.
To the interview piece, if you guys want to check out episode 236. It's a good interview, great time. He's a good conversationist, and we definitely shoot the shit.
I will.
Oh yeah.
I will say, I think just to respond to what Phil said, I think we should probably make sure we're giving as much praise to Rory McConville, who, based on our conversation with Declan, seems to be doing the lion's share of the scripting work, and it's more like Declan is working on them with the story. So not to take anything away from Declan, more just to say, I think Declan himself would probably say that the scripting, praise is probably belonging more to Rory.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, this is definitely the good stuff, and I would say pull it, pick up the trade. It's gonna be worth your time, and it's an Image book, so it's probably $10.
Yeah,
right?
The first trade is always $10, right?
Right. So you really can't go wrong with a creative team like this, with a concept like this for $10 to try it out. I think you gotta pull the trigger.
I think so. Do. Yeah, this has been one of my favorite books this year to pull. I've really enjoyed it. It is a bit of a slow burn, but I feel like it warrants that because it's well written. I don't feel like it needs to move too much because it's done enough to sell me on what it's doing well already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. This was great. So that's going to do it here for our Image Comics reviews this week. Thank you to Image for sending us these books early so that we can review them for you on time. And thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. And if there are any books that you want us to be reviewing, write in and let us know. While you're thinking about us, leave us a follow, a rating, and a review wherever it is that you tune in. If that's YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, like the video, share it with your friends, and drop us a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Listen to our main show, The Comics Pals, which drops every single Monday. On that show, we talk about the characters that you love from the comics in all the different places you can find them. We do news about them as well. So this week on our show, we talked about Batman's birthday, Batman Day, which is September 18th, and all the cool stuff that's going on there, and the Webtoon Batman series that just dropped, and Marvel's Marvel Unlimited update, which presents us with a whole host of new series in the Webtoon style. So go check out our most recent episode and give us your feedback on that as well. And if you want our reviews of those books, Marvel and DC books, that is, listen every Thursday for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Sean. For the rest of the pals, we are the Comics Pals signing off. Take care, guys.
See you next week.
Here's to talking animals.